Welcome to this week's episode of Zero to a Million, brought to you by Unstack. I'm your host, Zach Rigo, and today I'm joined by our first two-time guest, Antoine Gagne, CEO and founder of J7 Media. One of the best resources I've found to help me out with Facebook marketing, an expert on direct-to-consumer Facebook marketing. And we're going to go deep today on some strategies you as a merchant can implement to find success with Facebook marketing throughout the holidays, how you can work around and learn more about the changes to iOS14 and Apple and all the changes they are making and how it's going to potentially impact your Facebook strategy. Antoine, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Zach. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you coming on. So obviously, we had a good discussion to start, and y'all are doing a lot of research, a lot of digging on iOS 14 and how you can optimize and help your clients, continue to achieve great results in marketing with kind of the ever-changing privacy policies that are out there. Take us through a little bit of what you found over the last few months and how you've been able to stabilize your clients' success and then obviously grow it from there.
Yeah, obviously it has been something way bigger than I thought. So everything started on April 26th. Apple announced that now they're enforcing the ATT, which we do call the app tracking transparency. So for people who are listening today, if you have an iPhone and you receive a notification saying, hey, would you like to share your information with this application? That's what I'm talking about when I'm referring to the ATT, the app tracking transparency. So the first 2 or 3 weeks after the launch of their initiative, things were not that bad. So things were kind of normal. We were happy. We told ourselves, okay, everything is going to be fine. And then mid-May, that's really where it started to everything change in Facebook. So most of our clients are e-commerce brands with a huge volume in terms of investment on Facebook. And then right away we saw the CAC was going on. The CAC was going up, The return on ad spend was going down. It was really, really, really challenging at that moment. And also it's important to mention that this ATT thing, iOS 14 thing, happened at the same moment where things in Canada, United States, it was a bit before, like everything started to reopen again. So people were not in front of their computer anymore. They can go out, they can do some activities, they can just enjoy a good time on a terrace and all these different things. So obviously when this thing happened, people buy less things online. On top of that, you have iOS 14. It has been a challenging month of May, month of June, and to be totally frank, month of July. We're recording the podcast on August 20th. And things start to go back to normal a little bit more. Facebook will not give up without a fight. They change a lot of things in their advertising. It's getting a little bit easier for advertisers right now on the platform. So things are going back to normal. But the past 3 months they have been very challenging, Zach. I won't lie.
Yeah, no, appreciate the transparency. I think you mentioned kind of a date where you were like, were there any leading indicators? Were there stats you started to see like, hey, impressions dropped off and then, we started to see fewer and fewer transactions? Or what was the one number that y'all looked at and were like, oh boy, we should get prepared? And then obviously there's like this ripple effect that tends to happen.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. So what we thought at the beginning at the agency is, so from the moment this iOS 14 thing happened, right away, we launched a small team in our company called the iOS 14 Squad, where their only work, and still right now, is to focus on how do we solve this challenge? How do we get over it? How can we find good solutions for our clients and then continue to spend and generate revenue from Facebook advertising? So we spent a lot of time on that. And one of the first things that we discovered was, and we thought at the beginning that people would leave the platform because, things are so expensive. It's not affordable to buy ads on Facebook right now. And I think this is something that happened for a lot of different advertisers. And usually when something like that happens, Zach, the CPM goes down. So the cost to advertise on the platform will go down because there's less advertisers, supply and demand. But then it was the opposite that happened. Like the CPM didn't go down. The machine was completely shook, sorry. And at that moment, we realized one thing by talking with Facebook is you can just remove 5% or 6% or 10% of the signals that Facebook receives from outside, from third parties, from websites and all these different things. The 5% totally change how their algorithm works. And then it just move up and up and up and up. Because right now, like people that have an iPhone, more than 90% of them are saying no to sharing their information with the specific app. So you understand all the signals that the platform is losing right now. So the first 2 or 3 months, what we realize is all the numbers, they were just not matching. So sometimes the CPM from one day to another went up by 200% without any specific reasons. So we realized that the machine was not okay. They needed to relearn a little bit how to run ads on Facebook. So there was not one specific moment, but any advertisers would tell you that, people that are advertising a lot on Facebook, May, June, it was really weird. It was really weird on the platform. And then slowly but surely, Facebook came back to their foundation, and it's getting a little bit better, I would say.
And take me through, your client's reaction, because I think there's probably a lot of merchants listening right now that reacted, and potentially, and I think this is something that maybe y'all didn't do, and that's why it's been able to rebound, because the algorithm worked itself out over time.
Yeah.
I'd love for you to give some insights into the merchants that maybe pulled back heavily when they started to see the CPMs go up, because that even could be detrimental and potentially just drag out the amount of pain you have to go through to get back to success.
Oh yeah, no, this was something that, a lot of people were panicking. It's normal. Like for me, I'll be totally honest with you, Zach, we're running over $2 million a month in Facebook ads right now. It has been 10 times worse than I thought. I thought that it would be something, but that we would manage it. And then a couple of weeks later, everything will be fine. I talk with a lot of people and I tell them, like, last year, restaurants, hotels, and all these different companies, events companies, they had their COVID. This year, we had our COVID because a lot of things happened. It was really hard to manage clients' expectation at that time. Imagine for 6 months, a year, you're able to have a cost per acquisition at a certain number, and it's profitable for your company. And from one day to another, you cannot achieve that anymore. Yeah. And Facebook is your main source of traffic. This was really challenging, and still is. So what we did, we tried to just tell our clients a couple of months before that it was happening, it was coming. So people were prepared to see something like that. And we made sure that we kept them informed. I told you that just before the podcast, we have this newsletter called the iOS14 Squad, where every single week we share with the community, hey, here's what we're testing right now with Facebook ads regarding on the things that are happening with Apple. You should read our email and then try to implement that with your account. And we tell people what is working and what is not working. So by being very transparent, by trying to educate people, it has been okay for us. But for a lot of companies at that specific moment, you need to explain them that if you're only relying on Facebook ads to run your company, it's not sustainable. You need to be sure that you have a big email list, an organic strategy, making sure that you're able to acquire customers on different channels. And that, in this kind of conversation, we really started to have this with all our clients, because at one specific moment when, a small crisis like that happened, you need to be sure that you have a plan B. And for most of these people, they didn't have at that time. So this has been the kind of conversation that we had with them.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that. We're going to have an episode that comes out, came out last week, I guess, when this episode airs, with Andrew Bielecki from Klaviyo. And a lot of it is about, that owned data, owned email list, like having something that, if I hit send, I'm going to get X amount back for every email I send. And that's really powerful. And I think your team is taking the right approach. I think merchants listening need to be understanding that Facebook's algorithm is just that. It needs data to adjust itself. And that's whether you're starting today. It's not going to be as good today as it is in 60 days. And that's if there's a change to it. To your point, two data points get thrown off whack, off course. And that throws off an entire algorithm that's got, hundreds of thousands or millions of data points. So I think it's super important for merchants to be prepared to weather the storm. And I think the other thing, Antoine, I'd love your thought process on this, but you mentioned your clients are going to market with a CAC, right? They're going to market with an ASP, an average checkout value or average sale price. Their business is kind of built around this CAC, right? Like they've built a funnel. When it doubles, that might take 100% of their profit margin. So what was your team's, plan of attack to either increase the lifetime value of the customer, provide upsell opportunities, like any transitions y'all made right then and there to say, hey, we can still make this profitable. Here's how.
Yeah, I'd say all these answers. So first of all, you need to be sure that the backend is really well structured. What I do mean by the backend is, obviously when you run ads on Facebook on people who do not know your brand, we're talking about acquisition. We're talking about acquiring people that do not know your brand that obviously down the road, they will become client. But most of these companies before, Facebook was so, I won't say easy, but it was so profitable that they didn't have to think about a backend strategy. They didn't have to think about an email strategy. Like I'm doing all this money on Facebook. I'm getting a return on ad spend of 5 or 6. I'm profitable. So from the moment that this stops, that's where these companies realize that, oh, okay, maybe it will not be like that for my entire life, for the entire life of my business. So I need to change different things. So the first thing is like one of the things that we realized with our company, I was looking a bit at our revenue and we're running ads on Facebook. Obviously we're a Facebook advertising agency, but we started a year and a half ago our own email marketing department. I'm glad that you mentioned Klaviyo because we're using this software provider for all the email marketing initiative that we're doing. And we realized that the revenue from our email marketing development department, just went up way faster when this iOS 14 thing happened. So email has been a big thing, making sure that you're able to increase the AOV, the average order value of your customer. And most of the time this happened by having maybe a better offer and also making sure that people are buying after. So this has been one thing. Another thing that it's really interesting is obviously if the machine is not going to be able to do the same job as it was before, you as a marketer, you need to think about it. You need to think about what you can control. And it's really interesting because we realized that at that moment, you could run ads on Facebook with okay creatives. And then the machine was going to do the job for you. You know what? Okay creative, it was not enough anymore. So at that moment, you really needed to put way more time on your ad, way more time on your offer, way more time on your creative. And this for us, what has been the outcome of that? We created our own production video department in our company, shooting content because we needed, otherwise we couldn't survive. Like we needed to do something like that. And the last thing I would say that I found very fascinating about these past 3 months, the businesses that haven't been affected by iOS 14 in our portfolio of clients are businesses with a really big brand equity. Meaning it was a bit easy to acquire customers before iOS 14, right? You have a brand, you don't have a brand, you can launch ad on Facebook and find a way to make profit out of it. Now it's harder. And the business that can continue to thrive after this ATT update that we all had are businesses that have a big brand equity. So if you're not spending enough time and enough money to build a real brand, I do think that you could be in trouble in a couple of months, couple of years, because I'm not sure it will be that easy anymore to just launch a business and then hope that you have a good funnel on Facebook and that's it. I don't think it will be enough.
Right. No, you're spot on. I think, you talked about the transaction, right? As I like to call it. If you're advertising on Facebook and gaining a transaction, that's amazing, right? And you're generating an ROI, but you're not building a relationship. And the follow-up after the transaction is where you start to build a relationship. And that's where the average order value goes up in time for each customer you acquire. And I used to tell when I was at WordStream and we were talking, PPC or Facebook marketing, it's like, hey, like sometimes it's okay to break even on the first sale if you're building a relationship, right? And if you need to get a 5x ROAS on the first sale, you might not build a relationship, but you got to be with that thought process in mind. Yep. So I think for anyone listening, like Antoine was, with some clients had to go do this. And that's a tough thing to build because the ones that have the brand are going to have the leg up in the long term and have that email list. They can hit send and generate, $100,000 in revenue.
You got it. Yep.
And it's not easy to build that brand equity, that relationship with the consumer. Appreciate all the insights there, Antoine. I want to pivot a little bit into holiday marketing because obviously brands are reeling, right? They're coming back. Now they're trying to get their whole entire team together across, the organization going after, obviously Black Friday coming up. We've got Labor Day even coming up in a couple of weeks, which is big, for sales in some industries. How do you prepare and how does your team prepare your clients for upcoming promotions and holidays? And more importantly, what are you thinking about with Facebook as a part of that strategy?
No, this is a really good question. And obviously you need to think about all the days, months in advance. So right now we started our planning for Black Friday holiday, Cyber Monday, I think in June or May. And right now we're really at the end of the planning and we're just starting to produce content for most of our clients right now. And the main thing that we still see and we still saw last year is it's always the same. CPM will go up. CPM will go up. It's crazy. So if you take a look at, and if you're listening today and you're running ads on Facebook, go in your ad account, go at last year, November 1st until November 21st, look at your CPM, your cost to reach 1,000 people. And then look from November 22nd to November 26th, which was the Black Friday week, look at the CPM. And then on November 27 last year, it was Black Friday. And then look at the CPM. For all our clients, it's minimum times 2 and sometimes times 3. So this premise will stay. It will be more expensive during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Black Friday weekend to advertise on Facebook. So now the question is, what do you do with this kind of information? And what do you do with this kind of information plus the fact that there is this kind of iOS14 thing that is happening? So these are the two main challenges that we had in front of us this year doing this kind of planification for all our clients. So having that in mind, this first premise that I told you about the CPM, it's 100% sure that you need to warm up your audience again this year. So let's say you want to do a big Black Friday this year. I'm telling you, it's not about advertising big budget during November 27. I don't know exactly what is the date this year, but last year it was that. So if you want to do $100,000, $1 million this year for Black Friday, just for this specific day, don't think about spending only this specific day. For our clients, most of the time, 50% of the budget, and sometimes even more, will be spent between November 1st and November 26th. Okay. So we warm up our audiences there. And what we do at this specific period of time, we spend on acquiring emails, creating what we do call VIP lists. So we're telling people, hey, our biggest promotion of the year is coming. But most of the time we're running out of stock. Would you like to be on our email list and then receive the promotion before everyone? Okay, we get emails from that. We bring people on the website so people can see a bit the kind of promotions that we're going to have. And then we're able to retarget these people at the specific moment, which is the Black Friday. So this kind of idea of warming up your audiences is how you need to think about a period like that. Because when Black Friday is coming, if you didn't do this job, it's just too expensive to advertise on the platform. So you need to do your job before and just think about yourself. When you're buying a gift for someone or when you're buying a gift for you, most of the time you thought about this gift for weeks in advance. You don't think about it like just, I wake up today, I see an ad on Facebook during Black Friday and I buy. People do that sometimes. It's true. But most of the time there is a thought process around that. So you need to think about how can I plan this accordingly, knowing that it will be less expensive the month before, knowing that people will think about our product. And again, the other thing that I said, how can you plan with this iOS 14 thing? And this is a different concept because Last year, we were bringing people on the website and it was really easy to retarget them because we didn't have the problem with Apple. The pixel was there. The pixel was firing. It was easy. Now it's not. We're losing so much data. We just talked about that earlier. So the question is, what are we not losing? And what we're not losing is the data inside the Facebook platform. The data inside the Facebook platform. Let me give you an example, Zach, of one of the things that we're doing. It's a very easy campaign for people that are listening that if they want to try, it's called the Instant Experience campaign. It's really easy to do. So basically, to give you an image, it's a landing page inside Facebook that you can build. You launch an ad, you bring people on this instant experience. People on this specific landing page will see the kind of product that you're going to have for Black Friday. And then after that, people maybe will click and be redirected on your website, or people, they will just leave. The cool thing with this kind of thing is you're able after to retarget everyone who went on this instant experience, which is not the case right now if you bring someone outside of Facebook. So it's just a tip that I'm giving you today. But the concept is you need to warm up your audience before the big day. And after that, you need to retarget these people, but you're going to lose signals because of iOS 14. So make sure that the audiences that you're building are built inside the Facebook platform. So for you as a merchant, it's way easier to retarget these people after.
Yeah. Reiterating 2 points I took out of that I think are key. I love the instant ad. I think that's huge. And merchants should start leveraging that. Shoot, I would say even earlier than November to start getting that remarketing list. And then you mentioned email capture, right? Like that, or SMS even is becoming more and more important. I literally just got an SMS. That was for a sale coming up for Labor Day, right? Like, but that's, to me, like, I prefer text messaging over email. My email is flooded. Like, I register for text messages for brands that I care about learning about. I register for email for brands that I want to take advantage of. It's just how I manage my messaging.
It's okay.
But you mentioned that, right? Email capture, instant ads. I think that's two things everyone should be preparing for now. You mentioned video earlier. You built a production team. A specific ad format or a specific way that y'all look at last year's performance to then say, here's how we use our ads, this year, or here's how we're changing our ads totally because of, new performance updates we found.
Oh, it's interesting. Very good question. So another thing that's really interesting with videos, we just talk about creating audiences inside the Facebook platform.
Yeah.
When let's say you're doing a video, we're doing a video for Unstack, okay? A 30-second video explaining the concept of your platform. If people watch, let's say it's a minute video of 1 minute. If people watch 45 seconds of this video, 30 seconds of this video, you can then retarget people who watch a specific time of your video. So this is super powerful. And again, it's on Facebook. It's not signals that you're going to lose. So for people that are listening today, if you have the capacity to create videos, go for it. Because like the instant experience, you're warming up your audience. You're creating retargeting audiences inside the platform. So you're not losing any signal. I think this is very important to keep in mind. Now, to go back to your point, what kind of content can we create? Don't overthink it. Like the way we approach videos now, it's based on an experience that we live at the beginning of the year. We had a client who came to us. He just created a big video with an influencer. He spent $40,000 with the influencers, $30,000 in terms of production. So $70K total for this video. I received the video. The video, Zach, was amazing. Like this kind of content that you're like, oh my God, this is an amazing video. We launched the video and it doesn't work. And we tried several things, right? The guy spent $70K just to create this piece of content. So we're going to try to make something out of it. It didn't work. So now you spend 3 months creating this piece of content plus $70,000 and then you launch it and it doesn't work. I do think that the steps that were taken were not in order, right? So I'm bringing that to you so people can understand that when you want to create a video, the first thing that you need to do is to test it with a very simple iteration. If you start with a big production in mind, you can literally live what I just lived with one of my clients last year. So like I told you about the production department that we have in our agency, the first step that we're taking with all our clients, the first video is done with an iPhone. As simple as that. Because with an iPhone, the video that will be created, we can test it in 24 hours and see if the concept is good. And if the concept is good, we go to another step and then we improve the quality of the production. And then if the second iteration is good, we then improve the format to a third iteration and on and on and on, and it never stops. But we don't do the opposite. We don't start with the big production and then we see if it works and then we adjust. No, it's too expensive and it's too much time. Facebook is a platform when you can test very fast. So you need to build this kind of infrastructure so you can be very flexible, very agile when you want to test these different content. Because I'm telling you, it can be expensive and very frustrating if you're doing this kind of huge production and it doesn't work after.
Yeah, that's, it's something we are actually going through as we speak. I'm building, as a part of our new go-to-market and influencer campaign. And I'm going with micro influencers, super low cost. Let's get 4 or 5 of them to create a video,
Voila.
get them all out into the world and see which one resonates, what type of content, right? Like, I think that's so key. And I'm guilty of, kind of becoming hindered by perfection, especially on video for some reason. Like, I'll throw up an image ad that is not great. I'm not like 100% on it just to get a message out. For some reason, video, I'll overproduce things and end up working my butt off when really I could just hold my phone up in front of me. The best video we have on our YouTube is me just cursing at the screen trying to build something.
Voila.
I sat down for 30 minutes.
That's how it is. People want to interact with content that they do not consider advertising. So that's how it is. You need to create an ad that do not look like an ad.
Yeah. No, I think merchants, that's a great bit of advice. Like, don't overproduce things. Grab a phone, grab a light, take a video of and I think what's also great about platforms like TikTok is it's made this micro content that is shot on an iPhone exclusively just common practice, right? We've all seen it a million times over now. Obviously, Instagram Reels does a very similar model. You want to fit right in there. You want to make it engaging, but you want to fit right in there. So love that message. I think the last one, and we talked a little bit about this, but building urgency, right? So you get that lead up, you prime the audience, you create the VIP list. You mentioned the VIP. I think that's a great tactic, but what are the other tactics or messaging or things that you've seen really work that are going to create that purchase intent right at the time that you need it, which is, that 3 or 4 day window around Black Friday to Cyber Monday?
Yeah, most of the time, it's not that hard. You're just honest with your people, and then you're honest with the message based on historical data. It's common that most companies, they run out of stock during Black Friday and they run out of stock during all the days.
Right.
And most of the clients of these companies know it. They know it because it's just how it is. It's one of the things that a lot of people still don't understand, that you need to plan. You need to have a way bigger inventory than usually for this specific period. And for reasons that sometimes I do not understand, a lot of merchants will not plan this inventory because they don't think that they will create this amount of sales this year. But you know what? They do. And it happens that people want to buy it. So the truth is, the best urgency for any businesses is, will I get my product? Because maybe they will run out of stock. And so if you're honest with these people and you create ads around that, saying, like most of the clients that we're working with, we're going to tell to their clients, hey, last year we ran out of stock, which is true. Don't be someone who want this kind of product, this kind of promotion, and you won't have it just because someone else bought it before you. So I do think that you need to be honest with people. You need to tell them that, and there are stats around that most of these companies did run out of stock. And this is the best urgency strategy that you can use.
Yeah, I mean, supply chain screwed still. So a lot of companies are going to be low on stock. I've been trying to buy golf clubs for weeks, and I just can't get them shipped to me. It's driving me nuts. Lost a tournament last night. I'm blaming it on those clubs. I'm blaming it on the supply chain. Antoine, thank you so much for joining us. Where can everyone find you, and more importantly, get some more of your content? Y'all put out some amazing content.
Yeah, I think the iOS14 squad, the newsletter, would be the best way to just see a bit what kind of content that we're doing, what kind of things we're testing right now. So maybe I'm going to give you a link. You can go take a look at this. I think that's where people will get the best content right now.
Awesome. We will share that. And Antoine, thank you so much for joining me. As I mentioned, our only 2-time guest. So that's telling you something. He always provides amazing insight. Thank you so much.